welcome to Career Applications. As you may have noticed, we're not in our typical setting tonight. We're going to be bringing you one of our more artistic segments, and in honor of that, I'm joined by a special guest. She's an expert in her field, and I think you'll find her input very valuable. Sue, if I'm not mistaken, your family helped to found Purdue University, is that correct?
That is absolutely correct, yes.
All right, and your husband is a descendant of both Aaron Burr and Raymond Burr on opposite sides of his family, right?
It's an exceptional family lineage, that's for sure, yes.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Sue Purdue Burr is here this evening to help us analyze a famous piece many of you have probably seen at least once, if not more, the 1989 classic Interview with a Bad Hire, starring Vito DeBille and Bree Thin, or as you may remember her from her maiden name, Bree Thout. Sue, are you ready to jump in and take a look at this piece?
Absolutely, I cannot wait.
All right, let's do it.
Well, please have a seat here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming today. We're really excited. Well, I'm really excited to get to know a little bit more about you. So please tell me a little bit about yourself.
Tell me about... Well, I work at the Travelers Inn down there, and I love puppies. I really want to get a puppy. So this job would work out well for my puppy schedule. I like volleyball. I like to play sand volleyball, but not beach volleyball. Yeah, beach volleyball. And that's it. What else do you want to know?
All right, Sue, what did you see there?
What did I not see? There's so many things to see, that's for sure. First of all, she came in really well. I really liked the way she smiled at him. She had good eye contact, things like that. But once he asked her the first question, she got off track. She started talking about her puppy, and the job was good for her puppy schedule. And what they're really looking for is, when they're talking about, tell me a little bit about yourself, is actually, you know, what have they done in the past? What's their education? What's their work experience? What skills do they have that's relevant to the job that she's applying for? So she did a lot of twirling of her hair, she looked up in the air, she hemmed and hawed. So that's the kind of thing that we don't want to have, right?
Great observation. Well, let's take a look at another clip and see how things progress.
Have you ever been in a situation where you've had to deal with an angry customer?
I mean, working at the restaurant down the street, I work a lot with angry customers, so I would say I have experience with angry customers.
Well, that felt awkward. What did you see?
That was awkward. There's a lot of pauses there. He wanted her to talk about a time when she dealt with an angry customer. So it's basically talking about the situation, task at hand, action, and the result. And she did nothing about that. She just said, yeah, she dealt with angry customers at somewhere down the street.
All right, let's take a look at another clip.
Would you please tell me about a time where you delivered excellent customer service?
Excellent customer service is something that I pride myself on at my job down the street at the restaurant. One of our regular customers shared with me that he had a bad experience last time he came in. And so I apologized for his experience and invited him to come back into our section. So he came in a couple weeks later with his wife. And so I made sure to pay extra special attention to their table, and even told my boss about it so that they could get a free dessert. And the customers were happy. My boss was happy that I invited them back in and made them regular customers again. And that's a great example of a time that I delivered excellent customer service.
Wow, bit of a turnaround there.
Is this the same person answering the same sort of question? She answered talking about the situation she was in, you know, the problem at hand and how she resolved the problem and the outcome. So it was an entirely different experience for her.
Yeah, I agree. That was like night and day.
This is exactly how she should have answered the other question.
Okay, well, it definitely seems like she's found some momentum. Let's see if she's able to keep it.
Sounds good.
So what would you say is your greatest weakness?
Greatest weakness. I would have to say my greatest weakness is I'm too much of a perfectionist. I'd like to have everything perfect on one project before I move to something else.
Is there anything else that you think you can improve on, or areas of growth for you?
One of my weaknesses is I lack attention to detail. So I, sometimes overlook important dates and times, and so I have to go back and redo that work.
Well, I picked up on a couple things. How about you?
First of all, employers hear all the time for areas of improvement. She called it weaknesses. It's better to refer to it as areas of improvement.
Oh, excellent point.
Being a perfectionist, people hear that all the time. That's just a fluff answer.
Yeah.
You don't want to. You actually, when you're talking about areas of improvement, you want to talk about an actual area that you want to work on. For example, maybe you're not that great at Excel. Just say, my skills in Excel are not where I want them to be, but this is what I have been doing in order to improve them. I've been watching a YouTube video. I've been coached by, my coworkers. They want to know what a true weakness is that you have, and then what you're doing to improve it.
But she had a second answer as well.
She also answered the fact that a weakness of hers was attention to detail, that she misstates and things like that. The details are important. You need to get things done on time. You need to be on work on time. You don't want to ever say anything like that. So it's some areas of improvement, but nothing that would get you in trouble with regards to them thinking you're not going to be dependable.
So you're saying don't list points that would be extremely detrimental to the position that you're going for, but list true areas of weakness as well as what you are doing to build up in that area, or what you can do to compensate for that.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we've got one more clip to look at. This is one of my personal favorites.
Well, do you have any questions for me?
I noticed that the position did not list how much this position pays. How much does the position pay?
Interesting. You always need to have questions for the employer at the very end. They want to make sure that you're really interested in them. So like maybe you want to talk about, what a typical workday would look like, professional development opportunities, what the culture is like. Then the last question could be final steps, the next steps within the procedure. So I think for her asking salary at that point is it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I felt it was a little forward myself. And the fact that she didn't have anything prepared as the employer, it would make me wonder how seriously she was taking both the interview as well as the job that she's applying for.
She, at that point, she could have probably, said something like, I did a little research on your organization. I saw that you're doing this particular project, which really interests me. Where are you right now within this project?
Absolutely. So based on what you've seen in these clips, Sue, were you the hiring manager? Would you have given her the job or not?
I just think that she wasn't interested in the position itself. I mean, the way she presented herself, she was more worried about her dog and her dog's schedule. She was more worried about salary. She did not ask enough questions about, the company. She didn't ask any questions about the company. She didn't ask additional follow-up questions about the position. So I probably would not have hired that person.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this has been Miss Sue Perduber, bringing her expertise as we critique a very famous piece. Thank you again, Sue. I hope we can have you on again.
Sounds perfect.
Great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Skip Tumalu. Thank you for joining us for Career Applications.